What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. First series recap of the year. Opening day weekend has come and gone, and the Mets lost a series to the Astros. A very close one, but they dropped 2 of 3 games. We're going to talk about every single game, every single pitch, every single play. That's what we do over here on the Mets'd podcast. We get into the minutia of all these games. Appreciate everybody stopping by, watching, listening, whatever you're doing. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Shout out to our members, $2.99 a month. You'll get these episodes out early. So we're recording this at like 8:15 on Sunday night. It'll probably be out on the YouTube for members early by midnight. You get to see it early. If not, you'll see it in the morning. Again, totally optional. But we've got 10 members right now. Shout out Bella Derry, William Young, Teddy Delgado, Hunter M., Sky Cherney, Frankie Peppers, Graham Hickson, Ollie Hockey, Zap6602, and Tom Kozlowski. We appreciate all you guys joining us over there. And we also have a link to our Discord in the description if you want to join the community of Mets'd fans, completely free. With that being said, we had our live stream at Murphy's Bar on Saturday. It went great. Shout out to everybody that was out there. We'll go through and mention those people in a little bit here. But it was a great time. The game, not so much. Again, they ended up losing the series to the Astros. Initial thoughts, James. How did you feel about just Mets opening day weekend?
It was such a blow opening day weekend in terms of like actually what happened on the field. Like we didn't get that many hits. There wasn't that many men in scoring position. Juan Soto, I think, is the only player that got an extra base hit. Or no, Vientos technically got a double too.
Torrens,
I'm not
I
sure
think, technically.
Oh, Torrens got a double as well. It just wasn't. It was kind of the opposite, really ironically, of what everyone expected. Was offense was going to be one of the best in the league, and we see what we got from the pitching. We got 3 straight great days of pitching, and the offense didn't really ever show up. So it was kind of a funny irony that happened. But like you said, it was really fun Saturday night watching the game with a bunch of people at Murphy's Bar, doing our pregame, postgame show. Shout out to the people that were there: Brandon, Ben, Walter, Mikey, Will, the legend Andrew McReynolds, Gerald with his original song that he sang in the postgame show, the OSU guy who we were talking a lot of fantasy baseball with. It was honestly it was really cool that all you guys came out. It was really cool to be there with a bunch of Mets fans. Really cool to meet new people. Rory, the bar owner, he's the best too. Really has cultivated incredible like Mets culture inside that bar, and it was again fun to watch the game there. But the game itself was an absolute stinker snooze fest, and that was kind of annoying.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the vibe of the entire series. The team's just not hitting right now, and you mentioned it earlier that who would have thought that we'd be talking about the problems with hitting and not the problems with the pitching at all, because the pitching looked great. But on the offensive side, we talked about opening day and even game 2. I felt like the Mets had good at-bats. In game 3, I did not. I felt like the Mets were kind of overly aggressive with Spencer Arrighetti. It seemed like they were very in between on pitches. And tip the cap, Arrighetti pitched a great game too. He's a solid pitcher. He's someone that you've been high on for a while here. But I did not like a lot of the at-bats. Beatty looked particularly bad, which is not great when he was so good in spring training again. It seems like there's such a mental block at the major league level when he comes up here because the at-bats were pretty atrocious.
Yeah, Arrighetti does a really nice job of mixing up his breaking stuff and then kind of sneaking in his fastballs and like pitching backward in a certain way. I told you that pregame. I think I mentioned it on the pregame show we did at Murphy's, but that was what drew me to him initially as a prospect. Like I've heard Brent Strom talk about this, the famous pitching coach who was from the Astros, the Diamondbacks, now with the Pirates, that like something you want to see from a young pitcher to see if they're going to make it is their comfortability to throw different pitches in different counts. And just yesterday, in first pitches, the at-bats, Arrighetti was primarily a curveball guy. When he was ahead in the count, he started throwing more four-seam fastballs. In the middle, it was a lot of sweepers and some changeups. And when he was behind, it was some cutters. Like he's very good at mixing things up and not really letting the hitters ever get comfortable knowing what's going on. And for a guy like Beatty and some of these hitters that are struggling, the last thing you want is to not know what pitch the guy is going to throw next. Like you want to be able to kind of like put that guy in a corner and not pigeonhole what pitch, not fully guess, but have an understanding of how someone's working to you. And Arrighetti did a really good job keeping them off balance. Again, the Mets just wasn't there. There was barely any innings where they threatened to score. Like thank God for Jose Siri just being an agent of chaos and walking, stealing a base, advancing from second to third and a sacrifice fly to center field, and then scoring on a tapper back to the pitcher. Because that was the only offense of the game. And also thankfully for Juan Soto's double that he hit right off the fronting of the Crawford boxes. But if there was an experienced left fielder who was not 5'5", it's like Jose Altuve was, that also might have been caught. Like the Mets had a legitimate chance to be both shut out and no hit in this game. You don't really ever want to see a situation like that when there's a lineup that's this good on paper.
No, it's a shame too because Griffin Canning really pitched so well. The Mets pitching was phenomenal all weekend. I'll just start it off with Game 3 just because it's the most recent. It's what we're talking about here. Canning was a guy who, again, last year, there's no questions asked. He was the worst pitcher in baseball. But we've seen now that Griffin Canning, against an Astros team that has owned him historically. Again, I mentioned on the pre and post game show, Yordan Alvarez, career OPS at 1,700 coming into the game, like absolutely dominated the guy. I think he was like hitting over 500 against Griffin Canning in like 15 at bats before Saturday night's game. And Griffin Canning really, up until that last at bat, shut them down. He gave up 2 runs on the night. That's incredible job by Griffin Canning, facing guys who have seen him before, which tells me that there is such a clear and obvious change. Whether you're able to interpret that change through data or whatever it is, the fact that the Astros hitters looked uncomfortable, the fact that the Astros hitters weren't able to square him up like they had in the past, tells me at the absolute worst, he has improved or made enough of a change that's given him a nice wrinkle to be more successful.
Totally. And it was a change that we all foresaw. We talked about it on the podcast. A lot of the Mets pitching people on Twitter talked about it. My guy Isaac Groffman talked about it a lot. We saw Griffin Canning do in the spring. And the thing that he changed that came to the regular season, looked like it worked and can work moving forward, is that he went away from his bad fastball and went towards his good slider and good changeup. And that's really it. Sometimes it's legitimately that simple, where a coach can be like, throw this pitch more and that pitch less. And he's like, okay. Griffin Canning in this game threw 87 pitches, 45 of them were sliders.
That's awesome.
And that's skewed a little bit because this Astros lineup is tremendously right-handed heavy. I believe the entire series, Yordan was the only left-handed hitter that we saw in the whole lineup. So he's throwing 60% sliders to right-handed hitters specifically because the pitcher's going to perform a little bit better against righties. I'm sure that overall slider count will go down when he faces a more balanced lineup, which he's sure to. The Astros have the most extreme right-handed lineup in all of baseball, but it was amazing to see him be able to focus in and use that slider early in the count, get ahead with it, get strikes with it, sneak that fastball in late, similar to what I was just talking about Spencer Arrighetti, where it's this idea of pitching backwards. Because Arrighetti also, I mean, it's not as extreme as Griffin Canning, but he doesn't exactly have the best fastball. So when you don't have the best fastball and hitters know they can key in on it, you have to hide it. You have to surprise people with it. You have to make that 95. And also, Canning, I'm double checking right now. He got up to 96 miles an hour.
Yeah, he did.
That was he did. He still sat at 93, 94, which is where he's always kind of sat. But that was some juice he got with a couple of those fastballs. So especially when you're trying to sneak them in, you basically want to surprise hitters with them. You're almost saying like this cannot be put in play. Like that's kind of the whole plan there. So it's cool to see him do that. The changeup was really good. It worked really well against right-handed batters, which his changeup is a little bit more of a depthy changeup. It's more of a straight up and down changeup. So he has a little bit more of an opportunity to throw that against same-handed batters rather than most changeups that will run from a right-handed pitcher into a right-handed hitter. So if you try to throw that outside, it's just going to bleed right to the barrel and get smacked like it does often for right-handed pitchers. But it was a super encouraging outing from Griffin Canning. I think we can all leave that being like, wow, like this is someone who mixed it up a lot. Still didn't really use any of his sinkers or colors, which are the new pitches that he was working on, that he was throwing kind of up and down spring training. But this is something that we can definitely build on, and we should be comfortable. Like watching that game, I don't know how you guys felt, but I know Mark and I were watching the game with the people at Murphy's. We were like, this seems like someone that we can trust to be in this rotation for an extended period of time, which is a really huge step from where they signed him as the worst pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, no, it was a weird level of comfortability I had watching him. I really only got nervous in that last Yordan at bat, which everybody should be nervous with any pitcher going up against Yordan Alvarez. He's the best left-handed hitter in the American League, as coined by you on Saturday night. Because you were like best left-handed hitter in the game. I was like, well, Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani. I was like, those guys might have the leg up.
Said the league. I always said the league.
You changed it up. I
didn't say what league, but it's also funny because I think it was Mendoza talked about this a lot last year of wanting to put guys in uncomfortable situations. You mentioned in the post-game show yesterday that it's especially early in the year, like you want to not stress guys out, but you want to throw guys into the fire. And a guy like Griffin Canning, who again, coming off being the worst pitcher in baseball for a full season, in a spot against Yordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve, third time around the order, where he is cruising, but it definitely makes sense to take him out. Jose Budo's warm in the bullpen. Mendoza's like, fuck it. Yeah, you go, pitch, but get these outs. Because if he gets those outs, if Griffin Canning gets through that inning, now it's crazy. Like now it's like a torpedo straight to the air. It's a word of the week, torpedoes. But it's awesome. I know it didn't work out, but I just felt like that Mendoza was like, yeah, I'd like to see him try and get through this. So I'm not, while I didn't like it in the moment, I'm sure if this was October or September, he doesn't let him face him there. But in March, he's like, yeah, let's see if you can get this out and let's see where we can do with your confidence. And I'm not going to say I love that or I hate that, but I understand the vision and respect it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know how much better Budo would have even been in that situation, to be fair, as well. Like in a perfect world, you'd have one of the lefties going there against Yordan, but they threw the day before. So I'm sure he was trying not to have AJ Minter throw back-to-back days this early in the season, especially when it was the sixth inning. There was still a lot of game and you only scored one run. It was part of that as well.
Totally. We had Danny Young as well. But again, that was really the only moment of fear. And I do think I've made this comparison before, and I'm going to make it again. 2 years ago, the worst pitcher statistically in baseball was Luis Severino. Came to the Mets, was a very stable mid-rotation starter. Last year was Griffin Canning, came to the Mets. Let's see what happens there. But there's a lot of confidence now coming from me with Griffin Canning. I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, and the bullpen was amazing again. I think I'm just gonna glob them all together right now, so we don't have to go break it down game by game. But Reed Garrett came in for Megill on Friday the Apple TV game. He was disgusting. The slider, the sweeper, whatever we're calling it, was filthy. It was unhittable. He obviously is still throwing some balls, still gets a little bit into deep counts, but he was able to get through that without being hurt whatsoever. Jose Budo, multiple innings, looked great. Max Kranick made his Mets debut. He looked awesome. I can't believe he challenged Jordan the way he did. And we've overall had 9 2/3 innings pitched by this bullpen, 0 earned runs. That's obviously not going to last very long, but that's a great 3-game sample for what this bullpen can do against a very capable offense.
And 0 inherited runners that have scored. Because
that's even better.
Because Reed Garrett came in with the 2 men on after Megill got into a little bit of trouble in that 6th inning, got out of it. And then Jose Budo came in with still a man on, still Jordan on base, possibly second man on.
Second,
and then he stopped the bleeding right there. And then when he loaded the bases, and would have been his 3rd inning of work, but 2nd full inning of work, Max Kranick comes in against fucking Jordan Alvarez in his first relief appearance, first major league appearance in actual years.
Hereda's in him, yeah.
He goes right at them with cutters and sweepers on his hands and fastballs high. And it's just like, this guy truly has the sauce right now. And this is kind of what we've been talking about. This is why this was my bold prediction coming into the season, that this bullpen is going to be could be one of the 5 best in baseball. We now have seen every single reliever get into a game this so far. I think it's every single guy.
Yes, I think we have. Yeah, I think we've seen everybody.
And every single guy that came in, everyone was like, that guy could do something really
Pretty
well.
Good stuff.
It's like the fact that it goes from Huascar Brazoban and Danny Young to Kranick to Edwin Diaz, and we saw AJ Minter. We saw all of these guys, Reed Garrett, pitch well. Deadnail Nunes is still waiting in the wings. Like, it's an exciting proposition ahead for what this bullpen I think can and should do the rest of the season, which is the first time in a long time saying that as a Mets fan.
FT fam, shout out to Homage. Make sure you check out the website and also use our code if you want a little 20% off if you're a first-time shopper. There are so many Major League looks in so many different ways that you can find on T-shirts. There's all kinds of pants. The starter jackets are fire this year, new and more improved, and just every team you're looking for, Kratz, they've got it for you.
I mean, I'm going to hit on the Phillies because they got the old school, the back in the day before I was born, my dad's old school P. But then the starter jacket with the maroon Phillies P on it, oh, baby, get that, John, because you can wear it all year when it's cold and in the spring when it's warming up.
Yeah, go for it. Heavier, higher quality fill to take you from spring training all the way to the playoffs. We've got them. Check out the website again, homage.com. I love their Grateful Dead baseball line as well. And use the code Foul Territory for 20% off if you are a first-time shopper. Get after it, FT fam.
Of course. So we probably should also talk about the other pitcher that we haven't talked about yet, Tylor Megill, who looked. Are you up? I was wide awake. I was answering texts. I was going back and forth. We were flirting a little bit, and I was like, "Oh my god, this version of Tylor Megill is something special. I love it."
It's aggressive. It's confident. That was amazing with Tylor Megill.
It
was some trouble getting on behind him, keeping his shoulders high, keeping that body language incredible. I know Mama Megill listens to the podcast sometimes. He was amazing out there. He was so confident and happy. The fastballs were amazing, sometimes high in the zone, but even just challenging hitters in the middle of the zone, saying, I dare you to hit this 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Really good carry on it. It's amazing. He also did such a good job of burying that sinker in on the hands of right-handed hitters. We know that a lot of times Megill is very inconsistent with his command and where he locates his pitches. The fact that over and over again to a couple dead pull hitters who are really, really good, and Christian Walker, Isaac Paredes, and Jose Altuve, guys who are going to live in those Crawford boxes this year. Altuve's made a Hall of Fame career in those Crawford boxes. The fact that Megill, the first, second, eventually third time around the order for Altuve, was willing to say, I'm going to throw this sinker on your hands. I am not going to miss my spot and let it bleed over the plate. I'm going to dare you to hit it. Because if you do hit it, it's a home run. He just over and over again, like bang, bang, bang. It was amazing to see his confidence, his willingness to challenge a very good lineup.
Yeah, just the fact that he was throwing strikes like he was is so important. I think mentally sometimes we forget as fans and maybe even the players, like you don't realize what an advantage it is for these pitchers to get ahead in the count, to throw strikes early. You're up 0-1. I think that was the difference. If 0-1 and 1-0 was the difference between Freddie Freeman career OPS and Paul DeJong's career OPS. Take away Paul DeJong from the Mets. I know us Mets fans think he's the greatest hitter of all time, but for his career, he's not. That's the difference when you start with a first pitch strike or not. And it felt like Tylor Megill was pounding the strike zone. We saw after the game, he was wearing a shirt that said, "We love it in here," and it was the strike zone, which is amazing.
I think we love it in the box.
In the box. Yeah, you're right. We love it in the box. Like, this is clearly a mindset by the Mets pitching this year. I don't know if that's just a Tylor Megill thing, but it's probably an entire staff. It's like, we need to throw more strikes. We all have guys with great stuff. Use it to your advantage. They're going to have a hard time squaring these pitches up.
Yeah, another big deal with Tylor Megill. I shouted this out on Twitter after the game, but he's throwing a new slider, something that he was teasing a little bit in the spring, but it has much more drop, much more depth compared to the slider he used to throw. That was a little bit more of a horizontal, natural slider. It forced some really, really ugly swings against the Astros, 5 swings and misses in general. And I think the key to it, I'm really excited to see how it plays against left-handed batters, because what this shape is now, to get pitching near for like 10 seconds on you guys.
Go for it.
It's a variation of the gyro slider. It's called the death ball, which is really just means that it's a gyro slider that drops more than with the gyro sliders. We always call the gyro sliders the tight sliders because they move a little bit, but they drop straight down. So this is a more exaggerated version of that pitch. So it's a tight slider, but it drops a lot. And pitchers call it the death ball. Jordan Montgomery has a really good one. Logan Gilbert has a really good one. It's a pitch that, again, seemingly, I guess these massive hulking humans will use to will have really good extension on their fastballs to kind of play and manipulate with the hitters. And it's supposed to be much more platoon neutral than natural sliders. So I'm very excited to see what Megill can do with that pitch against tough lefties, but really, really, really encouraging first start of the year for Tylor Megill. I was jacked up watching that game.
It was awesome.
I was clapping my hands in my living room. Yeah, let's go.
When he was throwing strikes, I was like, come on, Tylor. There he is. Come on.
I'm just happy for Tylor. And I also know how important, one, this season is to his career, and two, how important he is to this team.
Yes.
So for all of these things together, it's like this. It's truly now or never time for Tylor Megill, and he has to. You got to put up or shut up. And that first start, he put up, which is awesome.
And again, the bullpen was great. Reed Garrett came in, did a great job. We got to see AJ Minter's Mets debut. He looked fantastic as well. Ryan Stanek at the disco, just gassing up 99, looked amazing, just challenging everybody, being an insane psychopath. And then Edwin Diaz, what do you know? He was completely fine and amazing. All the low velos during spring training didn't matter at all. Like, we weren't worried. You guys shouldn't have been either.
No, he gets back up to 97, 98, no big deal. Also, Stanek has thrown the hardest pitch for the Mets this season, 99 miles an hour, which I was pretty shocked by.
99.2, hell yeah.
99.2, yeah. And then Diaz also, I also hinted at this in the spring. I don't know if it was intentional or if it was an accident, but Edwin threw a slider that actually had genuine sweep on it, where he never ever does that. Edwin loves a slider that kind of is a back-me-up slider. It looks more like a changeup, and it just kind of has a big difference of velocity with his fastball. That's how he gets players out. That's how he has owned Bryce Harper over the course of their respective NL East careers. But he threw one, I think it was to end the game. I want to say to Pena, Jeremy Pena, that swept all the way across the zone. Pena looked like he just saw a ghost. He swung. It was such a bad swing. But it's really cool to see Edwin Diaz still be able to have that nasty stuff and come in the end of the game and just breeze through a very good lineup. It was one of the least worrisome Edwin Diaz saves we've seen in a long time.
Oh, he was locked in. He got on the mound, pound the strike zone. I think he threw 15 pitches, 8 fastballs, 7 sliders. Like, he was absolutely incredible.
Cut through him directly like Butler. And again, one more time, big shout out for Max Kranick with the balls of steel. Jordan Alvarez, the bases loaded for his first Major League appearance in 2 years, is absolutely ridiculous shit. And it's cool that he did that. Yeah. Actually, did he get into a game at the end of last year? Did he?
I don't think so. They put him on the playoff roster. That was the whole thing. He didn't get into a game.
Season?
No, we've had this talk before. He didn't pitch for the Mets last year. You checking?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. No, it's okay. Whatever. It's not necessary right now.
No, but that's it for the pitching side of things. Hitting side, again, just got to hit. The bats will wake up. Francisco Lindor having less hits than Ryan Nelson sucks. Definitely don't love seeing that. In case you guys don't know, it's a pitcher for the Diamondbacks who got a hit on Sunday, an RBI single in like the 8th inning because the Diamondbacks moved the DH spot. But yeah, Lindor, and we also know that his wife Katya is due any day now. So the sooner that baby comes out, the better Francisco Lindor is going to be playing in at no time. No,
it's been a lot of time with him slumping when his wife is pregnant. So
insane amount of time.
Yes, it's like, I don't want to say correlation and causation, but it always happens the exact same time. So hopefully had the baby this week, home opener. We have a new beautiful Lindor baby in the world. We're very excited to get the season started here.
Yes, no, that would be amazing. All right, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a minor league thing, because we also did see some minor league action this weekend. Yes. Syracuse Mets made their season opener. Brandon Sproat on the mound. Kind of not great, honestly. It was a weird start. I don't know. There seems to be a weird thing with him in AAA. I don't know what it is, but he gets there and he just isn't the same guy that we see in the spring.
I think the weird thing in this start was, it was probably 2 weird things. One, it was freezing. I had a buddy at the game who was in the Woo Sox dugout. Shout out our boy Nick, trainer.
That's right.
He said He said, I think there's a direct quote, "It's cold as tits here."
Were they in Worcester or were they in Syracuse?
Yeah, they were in Worcester.
I mean, it's crazy that playing in either of those cities as a spring training thing. Like, AAA should almost just start in Florida. Everybody's down there. They should just play games in Florida for the first month.
Yeah, so Brandon Sproat was pitching in 40-degree weather, which is not that great. And the fact he did it to face against the Woo Sox, who probably have the best lineup in AAA right now, and that's mostly just because of Roman Anthony hitting leadoff as
Marcelo Meyer,
maybe the best prospect of baseball right now. It's still down there, who really should be joining Christian Campbell any day now because he's that good. Roman Anthony hit 2 home runs in this game. Neither of them came against Brandon Sproat because Sproat walked him twice. Both times he tried to kind of get in on him, and then he just kind of lost control. First at bat, he floated the changeup. I think that made him really scared because he didn't throw Roman Anthony a changeup the rest of the game, and he wound up, again, walking him both times. The big thing I'm watching for Sproat as he tries to prove that he's ready to be a major leaguer is that changeup. We talked about it a lot with Nick Pollock. We talked about it a lot through the spring. He has the sinker. He has the sweeper, and they're really good pitches, but that doesn't really give him any out against left-handed batters. He has to, like Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, he has to prove that he can throw that changeup and spot it consistently. I think that's the last step for him to get the call, and this was a start who wasn't able to do it. But also, again, 40 degrees, not that great of a time to pitch. So it's push and pull with Brandon Sproat, but it's definitely more about the under the hood stuff for Sproat than his results at AAA. So I think that's something that just for everyone to watch as the next few weeks kind of tick off the calendar.
Also, shout out Blade Tidwell, made his debut as well. 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 1 hit, 1 walk. He looked great. Our boy TJ Stats threw up his graphic after the game. He has his TJ Stuff Plus numbers. Stuff Plus numbers loved Blade on TJ's algorithm. So I love to see that. That's always been my guy. I've been a Blade Tidwell guy from the start. I want to see him get to the major leagues and just I feel like he's been, I don't want to say disappointing. He just hasn't had that meteoric rise that we've seen from a lot of Mets minor league pitchers, where Blade's just kind of just been pitching. I think he gets a shot at some point this year.
He definitely gets a shot at some point this year. And the thing with Blade is that he doesn't have the exact kind of eye-popping stuff that some of the other guys have. He doesn't, I mean, again, but it's not like it's bad. He got to 98 miles an hour in his fastball.
He threw almost 50% sliders in this start too, which is super interesting.
I think that is a little deceiving because it looks like, based on the pitch chart from TJ Stats, the pitch profiler, that there's 2 different slider variations happening here. There's more of a straight harder slider, and there's some kind of lifty slider that's happening there. It's kind of like the Max Kranick lifty sweeper, but then there's also a harder slider that's mixed in there. So I think that is probably something that maybe one's a cutter or maybe it's a sweeper and a slider. I'm not sure.
Know.
I think because you see, are you looking at the TJ Stats graphic right now?
I'm looking at his graphic. He says 29 sliders thrown.
But look at the plot in the right. Don't you see that wide spread of slider movement, those green dots?
Yeah.
You see how there's the cluster that's low and then the cluster that's more high and to the left?
Yeah, that is interesting. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So that probably is 2 different pitches that's being mixed in there. But still, overall, pitches with sweep, with slider are the number one thing he's throwing. And Blade does this thing where he has very inconsistent fastball shape. Sometimes his fastball shape, he'll max out 14, 15 IVB, which winds up being an okay, probably slightly below average fastball when you also factor in his very high release point and his poor extension relative to his size. But in this game, he was getting up to 17, 18 IVB, which made that fastball play plus. That's why the Stuff Plus grade popped. But also still got no swings and misses, which still kind of tells us that's kind of what Blade Tidwell's fastball is destined to be. We've always called it the heavy fastball. We talked about that with Matt Eddy before, that he has such a weird release point. He comes down at you,
so
he's coming down the barrel at you, but he doesn't extend very much. So he's releasing the ball very high. So it's a steep release angle. We hear people with good fastball shapes talk about them having a flat release angle. For a fastball, it's really hard to see and track and rise up over the bat. Blade does the opposite. He releases it like this on you. For the people watching on YouTube, he's coming down the hill at you because he's a mountain of a man. But it's interesting to see how this stuff's all going to play. But we like seeing a good start from Blade Tidwell.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's going to be all we got for the minor leagues. But we do have the season debut. Everybody get ready. Drum roll, please. I'm going to put it in post. Media Marvels is back. We've got a hot Media Marvels for this one. We're going to start off with Boomer Esiason's quote, or do we want to go with the bat stuff first? Because that's the talk of the town right now.
I think we got to do bat stuff. That is the talk of the town. For some of you guys that might have missed it, this isn't necessarily Media Marvel, but this is just the way we want to fold in what's going on. But I think the Media Marvel is the fact that, and you might disagree with me on this, that everyone has really focused a lot of vitriol and hate on the Yankees with this stuff because it went mega viral on Saturday. A lot of Yankee fans can't believe that people on Twitter are posting so much about the Yankees early in the year. I don't think any of them realize that the Yankees have played 2 standalone games on during their first 2 games. So it was just the only game on TV. So everyone is, of course, watching the Yankees.
It's also funny too because they're going at people whose job is to talk about baseball, and they're like, "You're talking. All you think about is us." I'm like, I have nothing else to talk about today. There's only the Yankees.
You guys are the only game on, but. made big news because the Yankees absolutely torched former teammate Nestor Cortez. They hit 9 home runs, put up 20 runs in the day game on Saturday, especially also because it was such a nice day. The Bronx was boom, boom, and a lot of people looked like they're really having fun in the bleachers, just forgetting about Juan Soto for an afternoon, the most they could ever ask for. Then it came out in the middle of the game, first by Awful announcing, because Michael Kay was talking about it, then the John Boy tweet, our Foul Territory tweet went pretty viral, that the Yankees are using a new kind of bat. It's called the torpedo bat, where they're taking some of the wood from the handle of the bat and they're moving it to make a denser barrel. And then there's other players, like that was Jazz Chisholm. Some other players like Anthony Volpe are taking some of the wood from the end of the bat and pushing it to make a longer barrel that extends more deep into the handle. And people are freaking out about this. People are losing their minds. The Yankees are cheating. Trevor Megill, I mean, this is a big Megill episode.
Yeah,
sorry, Mom
awesome.
Megill. Sorry for still listening, Mom Megill. Trevor Megill had a full-on temper tantrum meltdown talking about the fact that the bats are unfair and the Yankees will get away with it because they're the Yankees. The Yankees are going to get away with it because these are completely legal, and all 30 teams in the league have the opportunity to do so. But for 24 hours of the baseball news cycle, everything was focused on the Yankees. Then people start playing games on Sundays. Junior Caminera is using the bat. Ryan Jeffers is using the bat. We've seen the Twins. We've seen the Blue Jays. We've seen the Rays. I think we also seen Astros mentioned the fact that they have these kind of bats in their holster, but they're not exactly using them as much as the Yankees. So it's funny that the firestorm is incredible, and I want to know what you think about the bats.
Yeah, so it's totally within the rules. It's a genius play by the Yankees. Like,
Incredible.
I'm not going to ever knock them for that. I don't think they're cheating at all. There's no cheating involved. This is legal. I know they're like one of the biggest organizations for cheating in sports history with steroids and all the different stuff they give Aaron Judge juice baseballs in the past. Like, whatever. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about their bats. Their bats are completely
credit
legal.
to you for not talking about that.
Yeah, I would not. I'm a very, very unbiased journalist. That's what I do here. But the bats, they're genius. It's smart. Anthony Volpe is a bad hitter, so he jams himself all the time. Make the barrel where he jams himself. Like, I get it. That's if I was a hitter and I couldn't actually barrel up a baseball, I would want to move the barrel of the bat to where I hit it the most, which is off the hands because Volpe dives over the plate. That being said, I think that this rule should be changed. The reason being is that, one, you should be rewarded for hitting the ball off the barrel. Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm, whoever it is, any player. If Mets better start doing this, by the way, because it's completely legal and it makes you a better hitter. But hitting the ball off the label should never be rewarded. I don't care if they make the barrels bigger or whatever it is. I think there should be one uniform barrel size. The way you get around is you're able to customize the length. There are weight requirements as well for baseball bats. Like, I think the barrel stuff has to be more uniform. That being said, the rules don't say that right now, so they are well within their rights, and they should do it the entire season, and it's clearly working because Mr. Singles is hitting some home runs. They're not going very far. They're homers in like 4 of 30 stadiums, but he's hitting more home runs, and it's because he's getting jammed, but that's not where the barrel is.
Also, in Volpe's case, it helps a lot because there's been a lot made about Volpe's bat speed, him trying to literally swing harder. He started doing it in the playoffs towards the end of the season last year. It helped him a lot. When you have more weight earlier on your bat, on your handle, you start that swing hard. It's much easier to sustain that momentum as you kind of flip through the strike zone, which is helping Volpe. But there was a great thread on this from Kevin Smith at KJS_4. It's got 7 million impressions. I'm sure it's made it to your guys' timeline at this point. I believe he used to work for the Yankees. His profile picture is him in as a child in a Yankee jersey, and he said former Terps baseball, Blue Jays, Athletics, Yankees. I think now he works for an agency, the Bledsoe agency. But he said, yes, the Yankees have a literal genius MIT physicist, Lenny, who is the man on payroll. He invented the torpedo barrel. It brings more wood and mass to where you most often make contact as a hitter into the barrel. The idea is to increase the number of barrels and decrease the number of misses. And he goes on to say, the MLB has rules on bats like what the weight drop can be, what the density of the wood can be, and how big the barrel can be. Most guys are using bats that aren't even close to maxing out the barrel size. When Lenny measured my barrel compared to what's allowed, I was shocked.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what this is now. There's a physicist on staff, and a lot of teams have physicists, people who are not part of baseball, to come here and think of baseball things because they'll see these things.
Yes.
And regular people who are in baseball forever, you would never think about adding more mass to the barrel of the bat. You're like, that's the bat. That's what you swing. And Major League Baseball has always been incredibly lax and loose on the rules around bats. There was an amazing
Except the kind of wood that you can use, because maple and ash are the approved woods. You can't use bamboo because it's more durable, stronger, more dense. So this is why also it's kind of funny because they're kind of finding a roundabout way. Totally legal. Keep doing it.
But bamboo is the density of the wood. This, they're using the same wood, but changing the density, taking away spots from the rest of the bat.
Yeah,
They're making
the part where the bat's supposed to break stronger.
one of the best pieces of baseball journalism I've ever seen was Eno Sarris, probably like 3 or 4 years ago at this point, doing an entire study, talking tons of different teams about their quality of wood the teams were using, and that some teams' bats years over time were literally had better. The ball was jumping off the bat faster, neutralized for player abilities through it. And with the Mets at the time when they were still Wilpon,
that was my joke.
Had some of the worst wood in Major League Baseball for years on end because we were cheaping out on the wood we were buying for our bats.
I used to say this all the time. I'm like, I'm telling you, the Wilpons are buying bad wood. I'm like, I see other teams come into Citi Field, they hit just fine. They crush baseballs. They hit them to places I've never seen. The Wilpons are buying bad wood. They've got the Wilpon wood. We also saw Christian Yelich used to put his bat, or might still do it, in a humidor. Because a lot of people would do humidors for the baseballs to make them acclimate better. He found out, or whatever they did in their research, found out that the bats also get cold sometimes. So keeping them in a controlled environment actually causes them to be more bouncy, to be more consistent with the outcomes that they hit. Moving the fucking barrel and adding wood to the handle so you don't break your back because you're a bad hitter is bullshit. But it's legal, so keep doing it.
Yeah, you're not salty about it at all. I think it's hilarious. I love this kind of stuff that's like, the fact that we think we know so much and we spend so much time thinking about, analyzing, talking about this game, and all the teams are working on bat enhancements, and they walk out the second game of the season. We don't even know this is the first game of the season. This takes the second game of the season to be like, holy shit, the Yankees are swinging like the fucking, what was the old bat? The Vortex bat from back in the day.
Oh, yeah, again, the Mike Piazza, Mark McGwire, big, like yellow
big
or
blue one,
yeah.
But it's just I love seeing these little advancements, these little things that teams are doing under the hood that we would never even imagine. The fact that these people are probably making big money and they're spending hours and hours and hours through years of their lives trying to perfect a new style of bat. The fact that some shit can always change in the game and teams are always trying to find that edge, that's super cool. That being said, Mets got to have torpedo bats tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow, you need these bats.
Does Brett Beatty need a torpedo bat? Is that what's been missing?
Whatever he needs. Anything Brett Beatty needs. Actually, Brett Beatty might need the opposite because he always hits everything off the end of the bat. He might need the reverse torpedo. We need the barrel to be on the end.
Yeah, move the barrel down the bat a little bit for him. That also kind of leads into our actual media marvel now, which is everyone's one of the greats on the radio, Boomer Esiason. I'll tell you this, I've never listened to Boomer. This is not a personal shot at him or anything. I don't listen to the radio, but if there was ever a choice, he's not going to be one of my top picks. He had a crazy, horrible take about Juan Soto. I'll lay it in audio-wise so you guys can hear it.
I think there's 3 athletes in baseball.
I think there's 3, okay?
That
I think there's
move
3.
the needle. Move the needle athletes.
Needle movers?
Yeah, needle movers.
Okay.
And that would be Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
The great Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
And Paul Skeens.
You don't put Soto in there?
No, I don't. I don't think he moves the needle.
What?
I don't.
But he said Juan Soto isn't a needle mover, which is such a bad take. And it feels like this has to be what he wanted, right?
Definitely. This was because this came directly after the morning after the opening day. So this was Friday morning, so we missed on the last episode.
After he struck out. Oh.
Yeah, when he struck out against Josh Hader, probably the second or third best closer of the generation, to end the game on opening day. Because a lot of Yankees fans are remembering the fact that last year in Houston, similar situation, Juan Soto came through with the big hit, and then Juan Soto came through with the big outfield assist to win them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't talk about that one.
No, we get to win them their game. So what Boomer Esiason was saying, basically, Boomer's a Yankee fan, big Ranger fan too, big New York sports guy, of course, that he's just, and again, you guys just heard that, but he's not Shohei Ohtani, and he's not Aaron Judge. He's Juan Soto. He's a step below. And the most hilarious thing about this is I predicted this to a T on an episode of this show about 6.5 weeks ago when I was in a hotel room in Vietnam and we were doing an episode.
Was that after going to watch boxing or whatever? Because your hair in the clip looks absolutely insane.
I ran out of my hair stuff on the trip, and I was like, I'm just not going to buy hair stuff. And my hair was really long. I'm just going to see what happens here. But pipe that clip in here because it's hilarious how well I predicted this first weekend of the season for the Mets and Yankees. I think the Yankees are going to open up a series against the Brewers and go belt to ass. I think they're going to crush Freddie Peralta, who's a regression candidate. I think they're going to crush Nestor Cortez from knowing him for a few years. I think they're going to put up something like 25 runs in 3 days. And I think Juan Soto might strike out like 6 times in his first 3 games in Met. And then we're going to hear takes. They're going to start by Michael Kay, and then probably some of the talking heads around there. Maybe Keith McH, somewhere around here, where he's going to say something. Keith McP. The Yankees lineup is better without Juan Soto. I mean, the Yankees team looks so together, cohesive. They're having fun playing baseball again. You're going to see like Volpe and Judge laughing, having a good time, and we're going to have those takes. And then June 1st, the Mets are probably going to have the second or third best offense in baseball. The Yankees are still going to be a good team, but you're going to see, of course, the Mets, everything work out, and I think that's going to be my prediction for the first media marvel.
So ridiculously good. I mean,
Ridiculous.
right on the money. The fact that you even just said like Nestor Cortez, there was a more than likely chance that Nestor Cortez was not going to pitch the opening series against the Yankees.
I knew it. I felt it. I had pure clairvoyance in that moment. But it's funny that this is now happening. And it's also funny for this to come from Yankee fans this time of year because the last few years they've seen their team get so high in March and April. And
Every
it seems
year.
like it's and again, maybe the torpedo batch are the step in the right direction. I think Bellinger does look quite good. I think Paul Goldschmidt does look good. Jazz, as we know, is awesome. And again, that's my point. This Yankees team is good. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be a good team all year. Going to be right in the mix. They're going to be in the thick of the playoff race the whole season.
Oh, yeah. No, they are, yeah.
100%. But it's going to be about this Mets team right now getting hot. And the irony is that Juan Soto is the only guy that started off the season well in this Mets lineup. But everyone else is the one floundering around him. But for some reason, we have to take that away from Juan Soto. He's not a needle mover. So Boomer Esiason, congratulations to you. We knew it would be someone from WFAN, but you are the first media marvel of the 2025 baseball season.
Are they WFAN?
Of course, Boomer and Gio. Yeah.
I have no idea. I really have such a very loose grasp of what radio stations people are on.
When I driving to high school every single morning, I was either listening to Mac Miller or Boomer and Carton at the time. Those were my only two speeds.
For your like 3-minute drive from your house?
Yeah, 6. I get like one segment in. If it's commercials, if they're on music, if they're talking sports, I'm listening to the sports. They're fun. Shout out Sonny Carton. I'm pretty sure Carton's kid listens to the podcast. He tweets me all the time. So shout out you, Sonny. You're the man. But that's the first media marvel of the year. That was a good one. I'm very happy to give that out. I'm sure that the WFN network will get a few more bestowed on them this season.
Yeah, no, I think they're that's kind of how they stay in business right now is those hot takes because radio is a dying medium. All right. Anyway, moving on here. Final thing of the episode. Marlins series up next. First series preview. We casually didn't do an opening day series preview.
I missed that. We did a little bit, kind of a soft one.
Kind of ish. But when we dropped the episode, I was like, oh yeah, we didn't talk at all about the fact that we're playing the Astros this weekend. We just kind of ignored it. We assumed everybody knew. But we've got the Marlins up. James, give us the pitching matchups for this series against Miami.
All right, we got some major pitching matchups this series. It's actually going to be I'm fascinated by all these matchups individually for very different reasons. So Monday, also guys, 6:40 start times on Monday and Tuesday. Be aware, 6:40 games, not 7:10. So make sure you're sitting at your TV a half hour early. David Peterson versus Cal Quantrill. Tuesday, I don't say this lightly, guys. We have an ace-off in the building right here. Yeah. Kodai Senga versus Sandy Alcantara.
Literally
it's a genuine ace-off. There's no joking around. And then a Wednesday afternoon, not quite a matinee, more like a twilight game, 4:40 start time. Very strange for a 4:40 start time on the East Coast. Very bizarre. Clay Holmes versus Connor Gillespie. Or Logan Gillespie.
Connor. It's Connor. I don't know how
Is Connor? He's also Connor?
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Their announcers were calling him Gillespie. They couldn't get his name right. I've watched too much Marlins baseball this weekend. I've just been so obsessed with watching every single game that's possibly on. My computer screens and TVs have been loaded with it. I'll tell you one thing. The Marlins, while they have won 3 games, they still stink. They're still terrible. These 3 wins were like, pull the rabbit out of the hat. Holy shit, I actually did it. We did the magic trick right.
This is the best part about baseball is that there's baseball on. This Marlins and Pirates series that happened over the first weekend was probably the most top to bottom scintillating grouping of baseball games that happened this whole weekend. Every single game went down to the wire in the last inning. Every single game was a 1-run game. Every single game had run scored in the 9th inning. The Marlins had 3 walk-off wins off of the Pirates bullpen, which is a big hole for them coming in. Pirates fans are spiraling right now if you guys see any of them on Twitter. But this Marlins team, again, this stinks. I wish we had more Marlins games that were in our schedule towards the back end of it when this team was dead and buried and there were 70 games under 500 rather than playing them 7 times in 10 days early in the season right off them actually feeling good. But Mark said it best. This team is borderline horrific. That's probably the nicest I could be. Also, we have to face Andy Alcantara. He's going to be traded at some point. It's a real shame that we're getting stuck with him early in the season. Same with Cal Quantrill, who's not great, but he's definitely he's better than most of the other pitchers are going to have on this staff.
Here's what I'll say. Everyone in Major League Baseball wanted nothing to do with Cal Quantrill this offseason. He signed at the end with the Marlins, the worst team in baseball. Maybe the White Sox could be the worst team in baseball, worst team in the National League. Don't give him credit. Unless he's nothing.
This is my hot take. This might come back to bite me in the ass this week, but I do think the Marlins will have a worse record at the end of the year than the White Sox will.
You think they'll have a worse one? Okay.
I think they're worse. I think they're trying to be worse too. I think they intentionally want to be worse than the White Sox. They want to get number 1.
I'm gonna read out some names to you guys of guys who are playing every single day for this team. I mean, Griffin Conine, son of Jeff. He had a nice home run today on the day that his dad got inducted into the Marlins Hall of Fame. That's pretty cool. Otto Lopez is, I see him get to the plate, and I really question how he puts the ball in play. He just doesn't look like a hitter, I'm not going to lie.
Great defensive player.
Oh, sick defensively. But
amazing defensive second baseman.
At the plate, doesn't really seem like he knows what's going on. Jonah Bride, former Gamecock. Shout out Jonah Bride. But he's struggling. Xavier Edwards, Nick Fortes, Mets killer. Liam Hicks, Derek Hill, Matt Mervis, Dane Myers, Graham Pauley. You guys might remember Graham Pauley, big piece coming over in that trade for Luis Arias. Yeah, big piece for there. Javier Sanoja, Kyle Stowers, and Eric Wagaman. That's an all-star lineup right there.
Something else insane about this Marlins team, as bad as they are, not even a guy you just mentioned. I believe that Nick Fortes is the only player that was actually developed by the Miami Marlins themselves, drafted and built in the organization the entire time.
Yeah, because looking at all these guys, they were on other teams. Dane Myers, maybe Dane Myers too.
Maybe him. He's a 50-50. I'll check him out right now. But this Marlins team, again, as bad as they are, as bad as they've been for a long time, there's no cohesion. There's been no player development. There's really nothing to speak of at all in this entire 40-man roster. Even getting into the upper minors, there's really no ray of hope or light anywhere with this organization.
Nah, Mets need to pump them. They need to crush them. They need to absolutely destroy this team. The Sandy game, I'm going to get the excuses out now. He's a damn good pitcher. That one's going to be tough to score a lot of runs. Hopefully we can get him out of the game early because their bullpen also stinks. Their bullpen is not good.
Dane Myers, drafted by the Detroit Tigers. The only two hitters in the Marlins active roster that were drafted and developed by the Marlins themselves are Nick Fortes and Javier Sanoja.
Wow, Javier Sanoja. Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. But who's infielder, outfielder, listed on Fangraphs, is playing center field for them right now because they're rotating every single player every which way they possibly can behind Xavier Edwards, who's hitting leadoff, just to see if they can make any shit stick. And I'm not sure if they ever will.
No. Javier Sanoja, 5'7", 150. He's a short king.
There you go, legend for that. But I guess just real quick, it is. I don't want to pitch. I don't want to face him. But it is going to be nice to see Sandy Alcantara get back on the mound. I think baseball is better when a guy like Sandy's just pumping 97 miles an hour for 7-8 innings at a time. He's been a thorn in the Mets side. He's been throwing everyone's side for years now. He's a tremendous pitcher. And that's going to be really important to watch Kodai Senga pitch in that game.
Yes.
See what he can do up against him. That's the game. That's the big circle game this week. I'm very happy we have softball Monday instead of Tuesday, so we can watch that game.
Doubleheader Monday. We get to miss
huge doubleheader.
We get to miss Cal Quantrill. That's the problem. We'll have to watch that one afterwards.
Yeah, we'll have that. But every game you lose to the Marlins this year, that is another game that you're falling behind in the standings because everyone else is going to beat them. You have to be the goal should be to beat the Miami Marlins every single time you share the field with them, and nothing less than that is acceptable.
No, you can even the Sandy and you can't lose it. They just can't score more runs. They shouldn't score more runs than you almost ever. If not once, shouldn't be more than twice the entire year. So I don't want to say big series because that's not the right words, but we got another series coming up here. Yeah,
let's win some baseball games.
Let's sweep the Marlins. That's where it ends. Start, stop, sweep the Marlins. And that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, subscribing, whatever it is over on Mets'd YouTube channel. Subscribe over there. Shout out to our members who are going to get this early. Shout out to all you guys listening as well on your morning commutes or at work or wherever you're listening. We appreciate Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. Again, we'll be doing some shout outs. If you become a member, we'll give you a shout out. If you leave a review, we'll give you a shout out. So we have a lot of that stuff coming up too. And appreciate everyone again who came out to the live pregame, postgame show out at Murphy's Bar in Astoria. Really pretty sick to meet a lot of you guys and see the little community that we build over here. So very thankful for that. Anything else you got, James, or it's time to wrap it up?
No, same here. Again, thank you for all. We're so happy the way the season's begun. The fact that Discord is bumping, the fact that YouTube, we got everything's just going really well right now. We're really happy to bring you guys a lot of content this season.
All right, that's it, guys. James, plug your YouTube, and we'll call it a day.
James Shiano on YouTube, fantasy baseball content, waiver wire analysis coming sometime on Monday, hopefully early.
There you go. Draft Neck Mark with the C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll catch you all after the Marlins series. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Let's go Mets.